Hey everyone, welcome to another YouTube painting process video. This time around I'll be showing you the process for my Metal Gear Solid Delta artwork from last year I believe. And as usual I'll be going over a topic of discussion related to art. This time around is something that going to conventions this year I've had several discussions about this with people coming to my table, and it's the idea of falling behind in art. It's something that is honestly starting to grind my gears because it's yet another thing that sort of gets mysticized in art, and I'm generally not a fan when people do that. So, what do I mean by falling behind in art? It's the idea that a lot of beginners, especially in people in art school, they constantly like to compare themselves to others, and they're wondering, oh, I'm 20 years old and this person I know started drawing when they were 3 years old or something. So there's no chance I'll ever catch up. Therefore, I shouldn't really try, and I really don't want to start with art. There's talent in art, etc., etc., etc. This is a massive fallacy. I've heard it in many different forms, many different stories from many different people. This sort of thing doesn't exist. Now, I will preface that yes, there are some people who will grasp the art fundamentals and theories faster than others. That's inevitable. There's no matter what you're trying to learn, obviously, some people will learn faster or slower, depending on how they learn and grasp concepts, as well as the schooling and the education that they might have access to. That doesn't mean just because you started late in your life that this is some unachievable skill set that you will never obtain in a reasonable amount of time. In fact, it's probably better, in my opinion, that you start when you are ready and mature and you understand how you learn. So, the most obvious reason why this is the case is because, personally, despite the fact that I honestly went to some of the best elementary and the high schools in Canada, in Ontario at least, none of the art education that I've gotten is remotely close to the professional level of art theory and fundamentals that you would have to learn to be a professional. In fact, most of everything that isn't from art college level and onwards is probably going to be done and taught in such a way that is completely irrelevant in later stages of your art career. So, yes, even if somebody has access to art education early in their lives, it doesn't mean that it's good art education. It's usually catered to children for obvious reasons. So honestly, you're not really missing out much if you didn't take that summer art class when you were 5. Now, let's say you are in an area, hypothetically, that somehow you have access to a Russian realist atelier when you are a kid. Meaning, this is the highest form of art education you can possibly have, and you have it early in your life. My number two thing as to why that's not always going to produce the perfect artist is because, of course, you're kids. Most of us growing up didn't even know how to learn things. We still haven't developed our brains fully, and we haven't learned to learn. I assume if you're listening to this, you're probably over 18 and have gone through schooling, but you would understand that growing up, there were a lot of things that were just so foreign and it didn't make any sense with you as a kid. Some of you may not be good with textbooks. Some of you may not be good watching videos. That's not how you learn. It takes time to develop how you grasp concepts, and not everyone is the same. For someone like me, I was a massive late bloomer. I didn't really understand how to learn until I was maybe in my high school years. In fact, I only started formal art education when I was 17 and 18. So by many standards, that's very late. But because I was old enough to starting to understand how to learn, then my art education was very efficient. I managed to grasp concepts and frame things in such a way that I learn faster because I'm mature enough to understand how my own brain works. So trust me, you will catch up very quickly, especially if you get access to great resources like a great good art college or online tutorials. And the final reason why you shouldn't feel like you fall behind is a lot of people who started art much earlier around me never really pursued it afterwards because of burnout. Ultimately, a lot of kids who are forced into art education may not actually have the passion for it. Whereas when you are fully mature, when you're older, you know how to learn, and you understand your own passions, then when you choose to do art, then it will be much more powerful and you will have so much more motivation to learn. And again, when you have that, you will catch up very quickly. So not only is most art education at a children's level sort of irrelevant, most kids won't be able to grasp those concepts even if they're good. Now you have to consider that a lot of kids who are going through the grind is just not going to enjoy it and stay with it. You understand how kids work, including when you were growing up. A lot of times if you were force fed a lot of subjects, most of them are not going to be appealing for you. So that is the same case for a lot of people who start art early. In a hypothetical world where you actually start art early, you may not stick with it and have the same passion for it because you've done it so much more. And you start later like I did. It felt fresh, it's something I chose that I wanted to do, and I know how I should learn. So all of those combined things together made me catch up faster than I even imagined myself. Trust me, having been in a very competitive art school, there were a lot of people around me who started much earlier than me. And by the third and fourth year, I was basically hanging with the others in terms of skill level. Yes, there will always be deviations when it comes to skill level, but don't be discouraged. It doesn't mean that you are incapable of reaching whatever objective that you want to reach. It does grind my gears sometimes when I hear people who say they're 20 and they don't want to start drawing, and dude, there's a lot of time. Don't discourage yourself. Don't make it a non-starter. You can always start at whatever age and you will reach that point. Art education is just another skill. It's not this mythical thing that only a select few born in a certain moonlight is going to be able to reach. So really just understand, if you want to do this, just do it. Anyways, this is the final piece for my Metal Gear Solid Delta artwork. As usual, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video, check out all my social media links below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.